in the direction of the finish line. Let's transition that into the marathon. Pretty similar. Most people, I say 5 to 10 minutes. I think the hard thing is for the marathon, though, there is this weird thing of like, people are like, well, I won't be warmed up enough. I'm like, yes. And so we talk about, well, there's lots of drills, there's lots of active stretching stuff. But for most people, especially like a lot of the people we coach who are like BQ people, there is a little bit of known, you're not going to be 100% warmed up by the time the guns goes. Like, that's just a little bit like, that's what this is. Like, the first mile might suck, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I approach it. It depends, and so much of this depends on the race you're going to do. Because if you're running majors, you're running these big races, like your opportunity to warm up is going to be super limited. You might be stuck in a corral for 90 minutes before your race, and so you're not jogging. You're not going to be able to do what you want to do ahead of that, which is tricky. For those
well, even then you can't even run the way you want to run the first few miles, so it doesn't really matter as much. Like, you're boxed in.
So like what I tell an athlete kind of depends on what race they're going to do. Like if it's a smaller race where they're going to have an opportunity to warm up, 5 minutes of jogging, let's do some dynamic drills, let's do some strides. That's really all you need. I'd still rather you be under warmed up and take that first mile to get warmed up and be conservative than to be over warmed up and then be out like a bat out of hell or like a shot out of a gun, going out way too hard. Personally, when I was racing, I would run a mile or I would run an easy 10 minutes, super easy. I would crank it up to like marathon effort for the last 2 to 3 minutes just to kind of get that cadence, take a pee, do a couple strides. That was it. I would still rather feel not warmed up enough that first mile than to be a little bit too deep into it. I just needed to get the legs moving. Yeah. And so,
well, and then that's a really good point. Same exact thing for me. And these are two guys, you and I, who ran 90, 100-mile weeks most of our career. So even us, we don't want to run more than 10 minutes. We're working with people who might be running 30 miles a week. Like, that 10 minutes is far more valuable and impactful for them. Like them running a little bit too much before a marathon, the risk is a lot higher versus like we could easily have run 2 mile, maybe even a 3 mile warm up for a marathon. It wouldn't hurt us that much. But for some people, that's a lot. It's a lot of running.
Yeah, that's 10% of your weekly volume, which is not insignificant. And for me, like I'm fine if the first 2 miles feels fast. Like if I'm not like fully warmed up and I'm supposed to be running 5:10 or 5:15 pace that first 2 miles, like I'm okay if it feels my legs aren't quite there yet. And then because I know I'm going to settle in, at some point in that first 4 or 5 miles, and it's going to be fine. And I try to convey that to my athletes, like, hey, those first couple miles, like they're not going to feel great. Like slow down. I'd rather you be 15 seconds slow cumulatively over the first 2 miles than to be 15 seconds fast. Like take your time, let yourself warm up into it. You can make up so much more ground in the second half if you're smart in the first half. Like, and especially if you're doing like a Chicago or a New York where you just don't have the ability to get out and jog, like, yeah, you're going to have to take that time to warm up ahead of time or warm up during the race and almost throw away those first 2 miles and then, be ready to actually start racing 2 or 3 miles into it.
Yep. Anything else on warming up for the marathon?
No, I would just mention eating. Like if you do a jog, like pop that gel between your warm up jog and the start of the race. Just maybe half of it is like psychosomatic, but topping off those glycogen stores, you did burn a little bit of sugar there. You burnt sugar since you've eaten your breakfast. So like just top it off. Take a gel. Not a big deal. You're not going to feel it, but it is helpful.
That is always like, I tell that to every single person. Bring it with you no matter what. Like worst case, you toss it or you just run with it. But I've even brought like a granola bar to the start line or having a water bottle, like having all that stuff just in case you need any of it. And like you said, it's really good to hit that gel right before. That is a big part of the warm up, like just making sure. Those are the things I'm thinking about more. Like, did we use the bathroom? Are we good glycogen wise? Are we good hydration wise? Getting those parts right more than like, there's not so much we can do running wise.
I would sacrifice my warm up jog to take a good dump before a marathon, especially
or pee,
like early morning races. Like I'll cut that short to spend an extra 15 minutes in the bathroom because I just want to be totally emptied out. So
100%, you want to feel comfortable, ready to go, so it's not a problem when you get out there. Yes. And then we kind of said it, but like since we can't run as much, we definitely do more active mobility, those type of warm-ups, pulling your knee up to your chest, heel to butt, some of those leg swings, skipping, any drills like that. I tell people to spend more time on those type of things where it's not actually running and not firing up the running systems, but we can still get the legs feeling good and loose, ready to boogie.
Absolutely, 100%.